My name is George Gerchow, Chief Security Officer with Sumo Logic, and I'm joined by...
Ben Newton. I'm a Director of Product Marketing here.
So this is great, right? Because I can totally chill, relax. Ben and I just did this Masters of Data podcast. He's got a whole series going, which is awesome. I've known Ben for years now. And we're here today to talk about privacy. Tomorrow is D-Day for GDPR. And so with that D-Day, we've been just hammered, like a paper DDoS attack of forms, because people are like, I gotta get this in before May 25th. Yeah. But it turns into a bigger subject, right, that you and I have touched on quite a bit, which is the idea of privacy and things like IoT. I mean, we were discussing earlier home devices that are now listening to people's conversations, sending those conversations to their contacts. What are some of your feelings about what's going on currently with the amount of data that's being collected in individual privacy?
You know, it's a good question, because I think one of those things is that when it first happens, you notice it. You know, when you first realize that someone's looking at your data or that your data is going somewhere, then you notice it, but you start to become numb. You start to become numb to who's using your data and where it's going. You know, I think I did a lot of government work, and the first time I had to go through a process of getting a background check, is like, oh my God, this is a big deal. And then it started becoming more and more normal to realizing that I think you become inured to the idea that other people have your information. It's become so everyday that someone has my credit card information that it's not even a surprise anymore, right? So that's the danger, is that we're not really cognizant of it anymore.
That's a fair point, but does it make you a better human? That you have eyes on you at all times, right? Does it make you a better human being that now all of a sudden I can't walk out this door necessarily and say something bad about you?
We would wish that was the case, but I don't think so, because I think all you have to do is look at reality TV to know that that's not the case. Because you would think that those people with a camera focused on them at all times would act differently. Now, of course there's a thing that they kind of gin it up, but I think at some point, you just think, even in an office environment, you get used to all those people around you, and you don't think necessarily, at some point they become like background scenery. I don't think if you think what's, in London with all the cameras on there, I don't think that every person that walks around London now thinks that they're on, hundreds of cameras everywhere they go. I think at some point it does change in the beginning, your behavior, but I think for the most part then you just end up going right back to where you were before, because there's kind of a natural equilibrium for people. But the problem is that then they'll be surprised.
They'll be surprised when action takes place. They'll be surprised when they get compromised. I mean, we just currently had a situation with an NBA player, I don't know if you knew about this or not, who was getting a regular parking ticket and ended up getting tased and handcuffed by the police. The video is being released today. We had a situation in an NFL draft where a guy who was going to be the number one pick, someone released tweets of his where he said some borderline questionable things, and so it affected him in the draft the night before the draft. And so I think you're right. I think people get comfortable, and then they, all of a sudden it becomes part of their scenery, and then they say or do something, and it gets caught. So what's the remedy, Ben? And I love talking to you too, because you're not necessarily a security guy by nature, even though you've been around it a lot. What is the remedy? I have my own ideas, but what do you think is the remedy? Like, what do we do going forward as a society?
Well, I think one thing is education, because there are so many times where people that are in situations where they need to think about how they're communicating. You think about like all the emails that got hacked before, and like police officers that are now going to have video. A lot of this is education at every level of society. I mean, people have to know, because you and I live and breathe this every day. We make a conscious choice based on what we know about what these devices that we carry and what things can, are going on out there. But I don't think that everybody in our society, they really understands those things. So the first thing has to be education. And then, as software vendors, it's incumbent on us to work hard to provide technologies that actually give people the tools to draw better, because I talked to Bill Burns before, somebody I think we both know. Bill Burns talked about his guardrails. He's over in Informatica, and I love that analogy, because it's about us being able to establish guardrails so that, hey, we know what's going to stay in here, because as soon as it's great if you know that it's going to be known when it's in the middle here, but then suddenly there's data over here and you didn't know that you didn't have a block there. And that's incumbent on us as vendors to actually do a better job.
Yeah, I think Ben is 100% correct. Vendors first have got to take the stance. They understand technology. We understand data, being, a data analytics company ourselves. And then I also think emerging technology too, like blockchaining. the more I think about blockchaining when it comes to things like IoT security, it's a way to decentralize information. And so now if I can decentralize things like authentication, for example, I'm not held to a single point of failure when it comes to compromising security. So anyway, great subject. Tomorrow is the deadline around privacy. Any final thoughts before we wrap up here, just about how people should think about this subject moving forward? I know we'll talk about it a lot more, but anything that you want to say to our audience out there before we let them go?
Well, I think this is the time to go out there and learn and to educate yourself. There's no time like today. So I'm definitely trying to do that myself. So go out there, take the time, learn. Read up, watch George's videos.
So I got one too. So thanks for that, by the way. Education's a good one. Watching our videos is another one. But I got one too. Like I think that people should take a step back in time a bit. One, why not give up social media? Not this, by the way, which is going to be on Twitter or LinkedIn, which is professional. But why don't you give up your personal Facebook for like a month, or give up, something like Snapchat or Instagram for a month, and then take a step back and see what you're really doing with it and what kind of information is going there and who you really want to see it. Take a look at your privacy settings that companies like Facebook are giving you now, and Instagram and Snapchat, and learn about them, and then get back on social media the right way. And watch what you say with those home devices, right, Ben?
Yeah, I'm going to go and plug it now.
Anyway, thank you so much for attending and listening to us today. Ben, thank you so much. Love working with you, and we'll talk to you all soon. Take care.